requirement and person attendance by members of a public body during the duration of the gubernatorial disaster proclamation. The members of the village commission will not be physically present for the designated board meeting, but will instead be participating in the meeting through audio access via a virtual meeting platform. Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to do a roll call. Commissioner Danny Seegers. Commissioner Danny Seegers.
Present.
Commissioner Antonio Towns.
Present.
Commissioner Cherie Williams. Commissioner Cherie Williams. Commissioner Lee Golden.
Present.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum and we will begin our public hearing. Our first petitioner is Alex Frazier, PE of Hurley and Stewart. And they are here to request to obtain provision of the Village of University Park Planning and Zoning Code 1274-07 B3 for a parcel of land currently zoned as undetermined and subdivided the parcel of land located at 541 University Parkway. So at this time, if we could swear in our.
Did you say swear in or bring in?
Yeah, bring them in and swear in the court reporter.
Okay, who am I swearing? Commissioner Martin?
The Alex Frazier, who is or anyone that is going to be speaking on their behalf.
Okay, I would need to see them on the screen. I see Mr. Frazier. I'll have to.
Hello, I'm Alex Frazier.
Mr. Ugole, you're on.
I'm mute. Okay, sorry, Robert Hughley.
Okay.
And is Mr. Bush going to be speaking as well?
Excuse me?
Is Mr. Bush going to be speaking as well?
Yes, I believe he will. I think he's just signing in right now. So.
Okay, Mark Bush is here. I've asked him to start his video a few times, but his name is there.
Yeah, I think he's logging on. I just shot him a text message, so he might be having some technical issues. So hopefully he'll be on here shortly.
Okay, and then Madam Martin, you would like me to swear in Mr. Frazier, Mr. Ugole, and Mr. Bush, and I can do that all simultaneously.
Fine with me.
Excuse me?
That's fine with me. All three of them at one time.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Mr. Bush, can you put your video on?
Okay, he's not on the call right now.
I think he might be trying to get back on. I think he's having some technical issues, so apologize for the delay. Here he is.
Mr. Bush, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, I'm the court reporter, and I would ask Mr. Bush, Mr. Ugalay, and Mr. Frazier to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may begin.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. My name is Alex Frazier with Hurley and Stewart, alongside Mark Bush with Capital Growth Buckhalter. I'm the civil engineer, and Mark is with the development group for the proposed retail development that's known as Dollar General on 541 University Parkway. So we come before you tonight to request a zone change as well as a subdivision. And if I can, I'd like to share my screen, if that's possible. Kind of just run through our site plan really quick and give you a rundown of what we're doing.
Okay. Mr. Frazier, after you do that, if I were to just give me a second, I need to try to get my speakers back rather than looking at the document, so I can tell who's talking.
Okay. It says it's disabled participant screen sharing. So I can go ahead and I can kind of give a rundown of what we're doing. We're proposing a 10,640 square foot Dollar General retail store. We're going to split 3 acres off the existing property located at 541 University Parkway. We're proposing parking improvements to the north, west, and south sides of the building. The building will kind of be positioned towards the east side of that parcel, approximately 55 feet from the easternmost boundary. If approved and move forward into engineering, we'll work with the village's engineering consultant to design stormwater retention on site and make the appropriate utility connections. So with that, I know our development team's very excited about the development, and we'd love to answer any questions that the board has at this time.
Commissioners?
No question for me. Nothing from
I don't have
Antonio.
any questions. Commissioner Lee Golden has no question. Commissioner Danny Seegers, I have a question. You say the petitioner will work with the village engineers for on-site improvements?
Yeah, so we'll work with them. As the project progresses, we'll work with the village engineering consultant group to design adequate stormwater, grading, utility connections that are all in accordance with the local regulations.
Does that include any modifications to the street to address the increased traffic this building would create?
Well, yeah, they'll look at that as well and look at what our development, what the increase in traffic will be, and they'll look at University Parkway and see if there's a need. I believe we reached out a while back, and I don't believe there was any request for a formal traffic study or anything like that. But I do believe that that's part of their review that they'll be considering. So.
And that's written down somewhere? Is that what you think or you believe?
I'd have to double check, but I know they do their due diligence, and if it's as the village engineer, it's their responsibility to look at the impact that the development will have on the surrounding, the neighborhoods, the streets, the utilities. And that's just standard practice for a project like this. So I can't
Shouldn't you have that presented already in your package to us? Other entities have come through with the same information and impact studies and traffic patterns and all that laid out before they ask for permission.
Yeah, we
So
haven't
we know
had
in
one.
totality what we're voting on.
Yeah, we haven't had one formally requested at this time by the engineering group right now. You know, we haven't gone through and done the engineering for the site yet. So we're simply asking for the parcel to be rezoned and subdivided. And if that is approved, we'll move forward with the formal engineering. And if necessary, the you know, if the traffic study is required by the review engineer, then we will perform that.
This is Commissioner Martin. Normally, we would like to see that information from the engineering. I'm trying to say engineering company that we used prior to that. And the reason why is because when you start construction, we sure that there were if there are requirements for setbacks or easement or anything like that on the plat, then we have that information ahead of time. Because if we have to come back, you know, it could impede on construction. Because if there's a special use permit or if there is variances that are required, then we're back at the table. So that study technically should have been done prior to this meeting.
Okay,
so
I apologize for that. We weren't made, we reached out to the engineering group and that wasn't made clear to us that a traffic study would be required. Historically, we've always kind of coordinated that through an engineering review and then made sure that we follow the recommendations of the traffic study. And if it does impact other parts of the site design and we need to go back to the Plan Commission, then we do that. It wasn't made clear on our end that that was a requirement for this application. So unfortunately, we did not perform a traffic study, or else we would have done it. So is there any way that we could make a condition of tonight's vote? And you know, if that's something that the engineering group agrees that needs to be done for this site, you know, we can move forward with that. It's not that we're against doing it. It's just it wasn't outlined in the requirements for the submittal from what we could see, unless we missed something. So
it's not listed in the paperwork for their application for the submittal. So they're going to need to go through engineering before they can even start to break ground on the property. They're exactly for the division of the property so that they can be issued a PIN number so that they can make a purchase, because they can't purchase it with it having the same PIN number as the current owner of the property.
So
correct. So
to clarify, it's only a subdivision for tonight's, is that?
Well, it's a subdivision and rezoning. So the current zone.
Right. Subdivision and zoning, yes.
But we still have to move forward and get full site design approval from the engineering consultant. So if that does require a traffic study and that's a condition of their review, then we're going to have to get that study done. And then based on the findings of that study, we'll either make improvements to the road, evaluate that, or we'll, you know, study may be inconclusive. I would like to point out this is a Dollar General, so it's not a huge traffic generator. 1,000 square foot store. You know, I would think peak hours, probably 60 to 70 trips max. So on a lot of projects in the past, and I'm just kind of going off of experience, we've performed traffic studies in very urban areas and found that improvements are not required. Can't say that that'd be the case here, but I'm just saying that, you know, we're no stranger to doing having traffic studies performed on projects like this. And we, like I mentioned earlier, we simply didn't do one because we weren't told it was required. So not every project we run into requires a traffic study. So
commissioners, if you would like, you can make the motion contingent on final approval by engineering if you'd like.
Thank you. Are there any more questions?
Was there any public comment on this?
No, I was going to get to that. No, there were no public comments submitted to me. And I should have done that at the beginning, but there were no public comments submitted. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of, I'm sorry, on behalf of the petitioner? Are there any more comments? Okay.
Commissioner Danny Seegers again. So we are basically subdividing this, rezoning it, and no real plans on what it'll look like.
So what the building will look like, or what the site will look like? We submitted our building elevation, our site layout with the application. If I can share screen, I could probably show, or if you're able to, I don't know if it was emailed or what. It was back in, I think, July when we originally submitted the application. We did provide that information. Those were requirements of the rezoning application. So
We're all sent out.
all right, here.
And we
All right, I don't have any more questions right now.
Okay.
Okay, and we do have the legal description for the land, correct? Gwen?
We do.
Okay,
It's in their Alta title survey.
okay. So we are subdividing, what is the legal description for that?
It should be your 4th page in on the application.
Okay, hold on, let me pull that up.
No, 5th page. Page 5, Exhibit A.
Do one of the commissioners have that information up before them? I'm having difficulties.
Read
with
it for
my-
you if you like.
Yes, if you could read that for me.
The following described real estate situated in Will County, Illinois, to wit, the west 600 feet of the southeast quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 12, Township 34, North Range 13 east of the 3rd Principal Meridian, lying south of Exchange Street, except the south 600 feet thereof in Will County, Illinois, tax ID number 21-14-12-406-030-0000. Being the same property conveyed to Parkway Food Mart, Inc., guaranteed from Chicago Title Trust Company, the Corporation of Illinois, as successor trustee to United Bank of Crete Stager as trustee under the provisions of a deed or deeds in trust duly recorded and delivered to said company in pursuance of a trust agreement dated the 13th day of October 1987 and known as the trust number 1445, granted by deed recorded 12/11/2020 as instrument number R 2020-1058 of the Will County records.
Okay. So, and I do apologize for not having that information in front of me, running in from work and was not able to have a hard copy. So I'm having a difficult time pulling it up on my computer. In order for us to subdivide the land, we do need the legal description in our motion. So Attorney Castaldo, I'm gonna need your assistance with this. Do you have that information in front of you for the motion?
We don't need to list out the entire legal description in the motion itself. We can just refer to it as the subject property.
As the what?
This just
Property?
the subject property, the property that's being discussed right now that is on record.
Okay.
I also can we just make a quick note where all the surrounding properties properly notified of the hearing?
Yes, they were. We did receive confirmation that there were notices sent out and they were return receipts. We do have a copy of that.
Perfect. Does the commissioners want to make a motion with the final engineering contingency?
Yes. So yes, we do. And I'm sorry, I'm just a little unprepared tonight. So I move that we subdivide the subject property located at 541 University Parkway with provision to having subject engineering plans.
And I'm sorry, one second, let me interrupt.
Help me with them.
1 second, though. We're rezoning the property as well, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
It's
do
currently,
we need to rezone it first, or do we need to subdivide it, then zone it?
we can subdivide it and then zone it, but I just want to make sure that we have on record what the current zoning is right now, and then what the proposed zoning is going to be.
The current zoning right now is undetermined. And
Right.
they are requesting commercial zoning, correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
zone B3, the commercial district.
B3 commercial district, yes.
Okay, thank you. So you can make your motion to approve the subdivision and rezoning of the subject property contingent on final engineering approval.
Sorry, contingent on. Say that again.
I think what was discussed was they wanted to see some engineering plans, so you can make the recommendation to approve the subdivision and rezoning of the subject property contingent on the engineer's final approval.
Okay. Okay, I move that we subdivide the subject property, subdivide and rezone the subject property contingent upon engineering final approval. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded. We will take a roll call. Commissioner Danny Seegers,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Golden,
Yes.
Commissioner Antonio Towns,
Yes.
Commissioner Renita Martin, yes. Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded, and it has been approved to make recommendations to the Board of Trustees to rezone and subdivide the subject property contingent on the engineering final approval. Are there any more questions?
Yes. Yes, Danny Seegers again. The remaining property, how will it be rezoned? Remained as undetermined?
I believe so now.
Yep.
Yes.
believe that's correct.
And what's the lot? Okay, thank you.
The party,
That was
I'm
it.
sorry. The party who owns this property, when they bought it, they were informed when they purchased the property that it was not zoned and that they could apply to have it zoned if they wish to, but they have not approached to have it rezoned.
And which parcel are we speaking of, the remaining?
The parcel that belonged to, the entire parcel belonged to Larson. It used to be part of the nursery. And there's a store that's currently there. They are currently owners of the entire parcel. And these gentlemen, their group will be buying a parcel of that land that'll be subdivided. So
And the remaining amount remains in this undetermined state.
Correct. Until the approach changed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. And
Thank you, everyone.
your other colleagues. Thank you for your interest in doing business in the Village of University Park.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. Good evening.
Okay,
Is that it for the meeting?
no, we have another progressive housing that is coming on. What time is it? At 7:30?
They've already called. They're ready. It's 7:44.
Okay. Give us a minute to transition. Okay. They're not yet, right?
Excuse
Okay,
me?
so we're actually recessing for a minute. I'm sorry, we recessed. We're gonna recess for a minute. Okay, just so we can
Okay, no worries.
transition.
Let me know when you want to go back on, Ms. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah. I'm ready. Are you all ready? We're gonna call the meeting back to order at 7:42 p.m. And if you could bring in the next petitioners. Okay, if you can let me know when all the petitioners are in.
Everyone's there.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We are here tonight, this public hearing, to hear petitioners Progressive Housing Incorporated. They are requesting a special use permit under section 1238-03 G for properties located at 545 and 555 Burnham for an integrating housing development. At this time, there were no public comments presented. Therefore, we will ask the court reporter to swear in the petitioners.
Okay, and I believe that would be Mr. Graber, Ms. Ross, and Mr. Copeland included in there, or?
Yes.
Okay, would you all three please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may begin.
Okay, my name is John Graber. I'm with Progressive Housing. I hope all of you can hear me. We are filing for a special use permit for the property at 545, 555 Burnham Drive. That property was two intermediate care healthcare facilities for the developmentally disabled, which was under a special use permit since 1995 when they built those buildings there. The previous owners, managers of them sold them. We were the purchasers of them, and we're wanting to use those for the same purpose as what they were using, only they would only house 8 residents in one building, and in the other building would be what we call a CDS, a community day service for day training. I would like to introduce Stephanie Ross to give you a little bit more background about Progressive Housing and what we do and where we're at up here. So Stephanie, if you can unmute. Stephanie is our Senior Vice President of Operations for our Northern SILA program.
Yes, thank you, John. As he stated, I'm the Senior Vice President of Northern Operations. So I oversee the operations of the SILA residential group homes. We have about 13 group homes across the south suburbs of Illinois, locations such as Park Forest, Country Club Hills, and Hazel Crest. And we also have a day program that's currently operating, and that's located in Country Club Hills. So basically with our residential group home, what we're looking for at that location out in University Park, we want to utilize it to have 8 individuals reside there. And then at the day program, we want to have, as he stated, our individuals to come in and receive vocational building and training. And so that would be between the hours 7:30 a.m. to around 4:30 p.m., 4:35 p.m., Monday through Friday for the day program site.
So I'm sorry, Commissioner Martin, could you expound on the day program a little bit for us? What does that entail?
So the day programming, that would entail individuals coming in during the daytime, and they would engage in skill building activities and vocational skills and employment job placement. So we would have about 30 individuals, 30 to 50 individuals coming in and out Monday through Friday during the daytime.
Okay, so this is not like previously where it was mentally disabled. This would be just what is the population?
Yes, the population is still the same as developmentally disabled individuals. So yes, it would still be the same population, but a different type of setting. So before they were ICFs, where they was more so like a 16-bed facility with individuals that reside there. But with the day program, it would be individuals coming in for activities and skill building, and then they will go back home.
Both homes previously and ours are licensed under the Department of Human Services and the DHS under the state of Illinois. We also have federal funding on it. So the governing bodies of those haven't changed any. They're still the developmentally disabled residents, all adults.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Danny Seegers, I have a question. I'm on mute.
No, we can hear you, Danny. We could that minute.
All right, yeah, sorry, got confused between his mute and unmutes. This facility says a day facility. Anywhere in this petition, is it considered available to change into residential again? Or is this strictly for a day facility?
We want it to become our day training site for our properties and going forward on it. Yes, we haven't had really much of a conversations of turning it into another group home. No.
It's for one of the houses. There are two houses on the property. One house, we would like to have a group home for disabled adults, developmentally disabled adults. The other house for a training facility for developmentally disabled adults. So keep in mind, please, that there are two houses.
So one house would be residential and the other would be a training facility with daytime hours.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
But it is it's a care home for the developmentally disabled. These people would be taught living skills and economic self-sufficiency in the other house, but it would be for disabled adults.
Okay, so the petition is for permit for properties for integrated housing development. So does the petition address your request for a training facility?
I believe it does. I believe it does. In the notice, it was stated that it was a special use request is for a group home care and a training facility for the developmentally disabled.
You know, that's the exact language.
And looking at,
pardon me, I'm sorry, Gwen, you can answer that, but the reason for my question is because if it's a training facility, would that require a different zoning, because residential right now, so how would that look? And Attorney Castaldo, if you can kind of help with that question.
It's currently, what is it currently zoned as?
Is that R3?
I believe R3.
Which is residential.
But for a special use, it refers back to section 1238-03G, which provides for family care homes for the developmentally disabled adults or group homes.
Right, exactly.
Group care home, and then we would be providing care for these developmentally disabled adults, care, teaching them self-sufficiency and living skills.
If I can interject a little bit, I believe under the zoning R3, it makes reference back to zoning R2, then zoning R1, which I believe in underneath all those different zonings that a training facility is considered an appropriate use under those different zonings, if I'm correct.
Okay, I'm going to defer that to our code enforcement liaison.
Give me just a second.
Ms. Van Arsdale.
I'm pulling up the ordinance, but just for reference, the previous home that was there, they did their training off-site in the town center. But the section 1244-03, which is special uses in the residential area, R3, allows for group homes for developmentally disabled with 6 to 10 residents, and it says basically that they have to conform with and kind of mesh into the neighborhood and not, stand out. And they're kind of in a spot where, unless you know they're back there, you're not even going,
That's true.
But my question is for the
training part, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for the training, for the training part, it makes reference back to R2, back to R1 as the use, and under 1238-02 permitted uses. Permitted uses of church, temple, synagogues, parks and playgrounds, schools, elementary on a lot not less than 5 acres, single family dwellings.
And so you said that is, I'm sorry, I'm going to defer back to you, Gwen. So you're saying that is, which zoning code is that? You said R2, R3?
It's R3, but R3 refers back to R2, then in an R2 it refers back to R1.
Correct.
As permitted for permitted uses. And then under section 1238-02, the permitted uses, one of them would be school, elementary, or on a lot not less than 5 acres, single family detached dwellings, temporary buildings.
Right, that said elementary, this is for adults. Attorney Castaldo, could you kind of chime in for him?
Yeah, so I'm looking at, so it was noticed as the request is for a special use permit under section 1238-03G.
Correct.
Yes.
12, and that's the R1 district.
I believe so.
Oh, I believe 1238-03 is actually R3, and then it makes reference back to R2, then you go to R2 and it goes back to R1.
So I'm looking at
1230.
I'm looking at the
actually R1.
Yeah, I'm looking at the code online right now, and it says that our single family detached resident district is chapter 1242.
Yeah, in the code, it goes, the section that the area that they're in is R3, but R3 refers back to the previous 2 zoning codes, and there is a special use for family care homes for developmentally disabled. That's G in R1. And I'm looking at the rest of it. Let's see, permitted uses. It says, so what he's referring to, it says permitted uses are schools, plural, elementary, and on a lot not less than 5 acres. So it just refers to schools in general, and then elementary also. So it's schools, elementary, and on not less than 5 acres.
Okay, so with that being said, I think we need to look to see what is the proper zoning for a training site. Would that be business? Would that be part of our business code?
The organization is a not-for-profit entity, so there's no financial benefit to the organization. It's a not-for-profit.
I understand.
And it also says business uses as permitted in B1 local shopping district, but only as part of a planned development, and provided that such use does not constitute more than 5% of the gross land or 10% of the gross floor area of planned unit development. So so if you're looking at them as a business.
I feel this is a family care homes. I mean, that's exactly language from the ordinance.
Right, but see, here is the thing, I understand, here is the thing, okay. So because originally we were thinking that you were going to use, and forgive me if I didn't do a deeper dive into the application, and I probably should have, maybe I missed it. I thought that it was just going to be for integrated housing development, which in our opinion is residential, a residential housing facility. So when you bring into the forefront that it also is going to be a training facility, then that means that we may have to rezone that other building, so, or give a special use permit for that particular thing, for that particular activity, but we have to make sure that we are granting it correctly.
Well, if you look at the ordinance, it describes family care homes and group care homes. It doesn't necessarily say residential. That is true, what in fact it's been used for over 25 years, apparently.
Right. So,
but I think the training falls within family care and group care. We're teaching them living skills for the developmentally disabled. I think that's, would be the civil rights of these disabled individuals, to allow them to get the assistance so that they could be somewhat self-sufficient and live in society.
I think that's a little different when you're talking about civil rights law and you're talking about their liberty. We're talking about, we're not trying to deprive them of that. We just want to make sure that when we give the special use permit, that there is no violation of our unified code.
Well, I don't think there is if it's a family care home.
Right, and I understand, and maybe it is my misunderstanding of what a family care home is and entails, but we have to have that defined to us what that is.
Hi,
the property itself has one pin. It is one continuous property. The thing is that on the development disabled side, the Department of Human Services, and on the federal side, you have to have always have to have an ongoing training with them in their facilities. You teach their ADLs and, at their home and stuff like that. They have their programs and run there too. So there's not much of a distinction there because it happens in both places. And that's mandated by the federal government there. So, which was what was going on when the property was an ICF also, if to a bigger extent there. So,
Okay. So again, I defer to Gwen. Try not to waste anyone's time. Gwen.
Hi, this is Commissioner Danny Seegers. Can I ask a couple of questions
Yes.
to the presenters? In your opening statements, you spoke of a training facility that was going to run business hours, 9 to 5 or something like that. That would be at one address, 555.
that would be at address 545. Yes.
545 and 555 would be your
555 would actually be the Scylla. Yes, the 8 beds.
the in-home living facility.
Yes, sir.
And they would be training at the 545 address.
Correct.
As well as other people that were not residents of the 555 address.
That is true.
So I think it's kind of like our problem with that is we have one location, which is a commercial not-for-profit entity, and the other is a housing development.
Well, not a
But
housing.
we only have
development,
one
a
pin of property,
a residential, yes.
but they're under one pin.
Yeah,
Under
but
one,
they're both not for profit.
yes, they're under one pin.
I understand that. And being under one pin, you need a special use permit so you could run those two separate entities under that one pin.
Which is what we're attempting to do, yes.
Which impacts the state and federal funding.
Pardon?
Primarily federal. fund.
Primarily federal funding.
State funding, yes. Our money comes from the state. The federal side matches it when you get it from the state, yes.
So it impacts both of them.
Correct.
Okay, I kind of understand what we're voting for and where the problem comes at.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Seegers, would you like to comment on that a little further? You're saying where the problem comes in at?
Well, all right. From my understanding, with one pin and two addresses, because it's somebody, I'm not even going to try and figure out how that happened.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
they run the housing facility at one address, that would be 555. And the training facility at 545, which entails more than just the residents at 555. But because they only have one pin, they can't split the properties off without going through a lot of other paperwork.
And that's the problem.
And so what they're asking us to do is give them a special use permit that will allow them to operate 555 as a residential while also using 545 as a training facility.
Exactly.
Correct?
That is correct, yes.
And so with that, I'm going to defer to the Attorney Castaldo.
I think the issue is the zoning, because I'm looking at the code right now under 1238.03 special use. Subsection G, it says family care homes for the developmentally disabled not within 2,000 feet of an existing family or group home for the developmentally disabled. And I think that a family care home is a little bit different than the secondary facility that you guys are looking for approvals for. I think that's what the commissioner is saying.
You're correct. That the way that reads there is that the way we understand that ordinance there is that you have two community group homes within 1,000 feet of each or 2,000 feet of each other. Those laws were written by the state, and then they've been changed over the years as to how close you can have actual homes. In certain size counties, you can be as close as 750 feet, but we're not operating them here as two group homes. We're operating them as the day training site and one group home.
I think that's the problem. The day training site is the issue. That's what I'm hearing from the commission.
So you're saying that we need to go for what ordinance would this fall under when you have if you're saying it's a business and then one is a group home? What ordinance are you saying? But yet it's under one pin.
So the zoning, you probably can look into some multi-use zoning. I don't think that's the only issue. I think that you're going to need some additional relief from the code. It looks like you're going to need some additional relief from the code to operate that secondary use at 545. Because I don't think that is a family care home for the developmentally disabled.
Certainly nobody in the immediate area objected. This information was relayed 2 times to the adjacent neighbors, and nobody objected.
I'm not saying that anybody's going to object to this. All I'm saying is that we need to make sure that you guys are getting approved for the correct, you get the correct approvals from the village. And I'm not quite sure that what's being presented tonight is going to grant you the correct approvals.
Well, where would you give us the information on which ordinances that we would have to would apply for under, I guess, is what I'm asking. Because, we also read the way the ordinances read that it does no harm or detrimental to the neighborhood, which is true because there was a special use there permit. And I will say, yes, there were 2 group homes within 2,000 feet of each other. So that was in place once before. So, I mean, I hate to use the word splitting hairs here, but we're looking for, and I understand where you're coming from, but we're looking for, the same opportunities that the other ones had based upon the type of residents that are there and such.
This property was on the market for over a year and nobody wanted it. We actually bought it at an auction to a great detriment to us because we had little flexibility in negotiating things. But for 25 years, they had this use, and apparently it wasn't economically feasible to continue. They closed down, and the property's been on the market for over a year, we understand, after being used for the similar purpose for 25 years. And apparently the people there couldn't economically make it work.
Okay, so here's what we're saying and what we're trying to say. We technically are saying that we do not want what you're trying to do. We're not saying that we're against that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What we're saying is that in order for us to do the special use, we have to make sure that it's zoned properly. We have to make sure that when we grant approval for anything, that we are granting for everything that you are requesting. And again, the nuance comes in when we begin to talk about a training facility. A training facility is something totally different than a home, a care home. And we understand, I think we all understand what a care home is. We're just trying to make sure that we don't have to revisit this again, that is not zoned properly, because I'm more than sure when the state of Illinois comes out and they do their due diligence as far as their inspection and coding and all those things, we have to make sure that it is zoned according to our ordinance. And so that's probably why, and not probably why, that's why we need to do a little bit more research. And we do apologize for having to do this, but we cannot grant the special use based on the fact that that other part is going to be a training facility, because I am more than sure that falls under a different zoning code.
Okay.
But the question I have is this: if we do satisfy any requirements for a training facility, then somebody will come back and say, well, how can you have residents there?
No.
We can, so let's just, for example, to clarify, let's just say you also need a special use to operate a certain business under the current zoning district, the village can grant a special use for the care home and a special use to operate the business. I don't know if that's going to be how it
might I suggest, now I don't want to make it more complicated for us, but maybe if you could grant this request and we can deal this any problems through a license for the other facility as opposed to zoning.
Well, I don't know if we need to rezone. I don't know if we need to rezone. I'm not sure what relief needs to be granted off the top of my head.
Will you be the one that will tell us what zoning that we would be needing to get this dual zoning for this one pin?
Yes.
It's not, yes, I can work with you directly. It's not dual zoning, but what I think it sounds like the commission wants to do tonight is continue this to next month's planning and zoning hearing dates. And in the meantime, if there is additional relief that needs to be granted, we'll have to renotice it up pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. But if not, then we will do some due diligence in the meantime and work with you on exactly what relief you will need from the zoning code.
Is there some telephone number we can reach you at, or?
Yeah, I'll send a follow-up email after the meeting.
To both Mr. Graber and myself?
Absolutely.
Fair. That sounds fair. When is the next meeting?
It is the, I believe it's the second Wednesday in
December.
December, yeah.
Will we have to post notice again?
It depends. It depends.
Right, we'll work on that.
We've already posted notice for this meeting. Can this meeting be continued on until then, not adjourned until then?
We can
not have, because we've already given the neighbors the opportunity to make objections and everything. So
and if we send another notice, they're going to think something's going on when really we're trying to resolve this situation.
It's possible that you won't need to renotice it, but if the current notice only says that the relief being requested tonight was for this one section under the code, and it turns out that additional relief is needed, then that additional sections of the code that you're seeking relief under is going to have to be noticed.
Okay, as well. You're very clear, and I understand, but as stated, we requested a special use for a group home and a training facility. So the language, a training facility, has been in the notice and application. But I understand what you're saying about if some other ordinance is applicable. So we'll do what you request, obviously, but we'd like to know so it can be done timely.
Understood, sir. I will. We'll take a look at this, and we'll make sure that if a new notice is required, we will let you know so you can get it out in a timely manner.
And we appreciate very, very much, as stated. We're not for profit. We've been in business in a not-for-profit business for a long time. We're primarily receive our funds completely by federal and state funds, nothing else. We don't go out with requests for people to contribute money. We take care of the developmentally disabled, intellectually disabled adults. We're doing God's work in the state of Illinois. We ask for your help so we can continue it.
And Attorney Aldo, could you make sure I'm on those communications as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure that everyone's included in the correspondence going back and forth.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Or more so for John and Ed, would it not be feasible for us to get it for the Scylla, for the group home right now, the special use, or we have to do both of them at the same time?
That's a very good question, because if we are saying that we might have to have a dual ordinance here or special use permit, could we go ahead and present, the findings are already there. Could we go ahead and ask for that special use permit for that Scylla tonight for the group home?
Which is 555 Burnham, correct?
Correct.
John? That
is correct.
Well,
I mean, because that's been posted and everything, and there's been no objections in what what you said, that we possibly will have to do a dual or a special use here. Look at the other piece as a separate, even though it's under the same pin. Why can't we move forward with the one?
If you do that, then we won't be continuing this meeting until next month. And if you do need additional,
and then we'd have to. You said we'd possibly have to file anyway. You see, so if you take care of part of it tonight, because we've been posted it,
That's not up to me though. That's up to the commissioners. If the commissioners feel comfortable doing that, they can do that. If they don't feel comfortable doing that, then they can continue the meeting. And that's not up to me.
Okay.
This Commissioner Danny Seegers, I would vote no on that right off the bat.
I would vote to continue to recess and continue.
That's fine. And we understand. We just want some clarification on things. So. So are we going to continue this meeting?
Yeah,
Yes. So we're gonna motion to recess the meeting.
Motion to continue
the meeting at our scheduled Plan Commission meeting, which is the second Wednesday in December. And I have a calendar in front of me. I am unprepared, and please forgive me. Does anyone have a calendar?
The second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday is actually December 8th.
December 8th. Okay, so let me restate the motion. I move that we continue the meeting for December 8th, 7 p.m. Planning and Zoning meeting. Is there a second?
A second.
Who was that, the second?
Commissioner Lee Golden.
Okay. All in favor?
Could do a roll call, please.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Lee Golden?
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Seeger?
Yes.
Commissioner Antonio Town?
Yes.
Commissioner Renita Martin? Yes. The motion has been moved and seconded, and it has been approved to continue the meeting at our next scheduled Plan Commission meeting dated December 8th, 2021 at 7 p.m. I would like to thank you all for coming tonight. And we are excited that you want to do business in our community. And we look forward to communicating back and forth with you on this issue, this matter. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for these words. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.